In Connecticut, the governor's nonprofit liaison interacts directly with the nonprofit community-based health and human services providers and advises the governor with regard to policy reforms and other measures that support the state's safety net. I'm Nathan O'Leary for Comcast Newsmakers at the Kent McCrae Television Studio at the University of Hartford. And Terry Edelstein, nonprofit liaison to Connecticut Governor Malloy, joins Newsmakers. And welcome, Terry.
Good morning.
Why did Governor Malloy think it was important to establish the Office of Nonprofit Liaison in 2011?
The governor made a commitment when he was campaigning for office to support nonprofit organizations, and one of his first appointments was the position of the nonprofit liaison. We were the first in the country, in fact, to have a nonprofit liaison. And it indicates the governor's support for nonprofit organizations and his ongoing commitment to learning more about nonprofit issues and resolving the many issues that nonprofit organizations have.
And has there been a particularly effective initiative that the governor has taken in regards to health and human services and this position?
Almost immediately after the governor created the position, he also established his own cabinet on nonprofit health and human services. And I would say that that is a prime example of a way to focus on nonprofit issues through a variety of subjects, topics. It's a very inclusive process that includes state agencies and nonprofit agency CEOs.
Now, as far as recommendations that have come out of that, can you speak to some of those?
We've been focusing through the 3 years of the cabinet's existence on contracting and procurement matters, focusing on how the state manages the $1.3 billion it contracts with nonprofit health and human service organizations. We've been looking at workforce issues, ways in which the state can support the nonprofit workforce as employees, as employers, and we're also looking at ways that nonprofit organizations can be supported as businesses.
And when we're talking about nonprofits too, how many employees are we talking about?
We're talking about hundreds and thousands of employees. We actually have information we're working on with the State Department of Labor to benchmark certain positions, and I could give you the exact count on some other date, but we've got a range of positions from the CEOs to the financial managers to the direct care workers that support people with disabilities and many other challenges.
Now, when we talk about at the level of the client, how do you think that the work of the cabinet has affected client outcomes, cost effectiveness, accountability, sustainability?
Well, that's a very good question. One of the issues we're constantly looking at is how the state invests its money in nonprofit organizations. What are the benchmarks that we can be using to measure the success of programs? How can we know that the interventions we use are supporting children, families, individual adults? And the cabinet is working on those measures, has made recommendations to the governor for ways to find supports. We're looking at electronic systems, for example, to be able to speed up the processes and to measure the outcomes in a very consistent manner across state agencies.
And this has been something else that's unique that's come out of this. If an organization has an infrastructure improvement, they can now go to the state for bonding. Can you explain how that has helped organizations?
One of the governor's initiatives in the past 2 years has been to establish a nonprofit bond pool. There is $50 million available this year to support nonprofit organizations with their buildings, with their medical record systems, and this in effect will support clients of the nonprofit agencies.
Thank you very much, Terry Edelstein, the governor's nonprofit liaison.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us here for Comcast Newsmakers. I'm Nathan O'Leary.